My therapist asked me why I don't trust you. I don't trust you because you lied to me. You said you were going to stop biting your lip and you didn't. You said you were going to lose 30 pounds and you lost your mind. You said you were going to be an artist and now you're just sad. You never change. I don't trust you because you're fickle. Does that make you angry? Happy? I can't tell anymore. I don't trust you because you have feelings. I don't want feelings. I want the truth. I don't trust you because you're not the truth. And even if you were, I couldn't know. You're subjective. One voice. Why should I listen to you over anyone else? That's bias. I don't trust you because you don't call. I don't trust you because you could have killed me. I don't trust you because I can't see you, but they can, and they tell me things about you, and I don't know what to think. We've never made eye contact except in a mirror. I don't trust you because you're a mirror.
I don't trust you because you don't trust yourself. What kind of person doesn't trust themselves?
That's circular reasoning.
I don't trust you because you use circular reasoning.
When was the last time you disappointed yourself? A big one for me was 9th grade. I'd been doing karate after school for 7 or 8 years, but I'd slowly been finding less and less motivation and time for it. That's what it really was. Time. Because, overall, the experience was a mix of good and bad. Good. You'd come in from the freezing Toronto air and feel the AC sear into every muscle in your body like you'd spilled warm tea all over yourself. Bad. It's cliche, but the place smelled like feet. Good. When it didn't smell like feet, it smelled like incense. And I can't burn incense in university anymore, so it holds a special place in my memories now. Bad. We'd start every lesson by meditating for minutes on end, slowly becoming more and more aware of our ankle pain. Maybe you think this list of experiences skews more towards the good. Or the bad. That isn't really the point. The point is that, by 9th grade, I felt that the list of goods wasn't enough to justify my spending time there. And I had the sense that there weren't enough good things in the future to keep me in the dojo. And that's part of what made the decision hard. If I stayed, there was always the off chance that Sensei would see my incredible ability, bump me 4 places on the spot, and hand me a black belt. Karate was fairly predictable in its progression, but there was always the off chance. And it kept nagging at me. Was I giving up on my future self? And that's just the unknown. The part that you can quantify is the feeling that you're giving up on your past self. The past self that moved countries and continents and kept training. The past self that begged your dad to take you to the orange belt grading, even after you had a nasty fight. The past self that you have material evidence of. Photos. A happy 10-year-old throwing punches. Had I lied to myself for years? Was I lying now by changing my mind? These confusing feelings manifested themselves in a fear of disappointing my sensei. For months, I couldn't bear the idea of telling her, of seeing the frown on her face as she evaluated where I had gone wrong, weighing the enormity of my failure to become a karate master. Just the idea of saying out loud that I was quitting was enough to keep me in classes I was growing increasingly tired of. In the end, my parents told her, but that didn't do much to alleviate the guilt. I silently resolved to only pick hobbies I was absolutely certain I would pursue forever, to like the same things at 14 that I would enjoy at 84. And of course, I was remarkably successful. As you can see, I've not changed since 2013, and have remained exactly the same person. Why then am I making this video? Much as it feels confusing to say so after the events of this year, I'm a writer. And, like all amateur writers, I have an over-reliance on witty one-liners and brash banter. Dialogue. It's carried off the page and into my life, to the point that even the process of forming my identity has been a sort of dialogue. One of the things you'll hear most often in any career, but especially in the arts, is that a big part of becoming a filmmaker, a musician, or a chef is to say it out loud. Rather than introducing yourself with the awkward caveat that you still live with your parents and have yet to win any Oscars, simply say that you're a filmmaker. No more and no less. Describe yourself by the thing that you do, which is make films. It's self-reinforcing. You go out into the world, tell people you're a filmmaker by building a website, making business cards, submitting your work into festivals, writing artist statements, and, well, making films. And people say it back to you. They do it by reviewing your films, by looking at your work and evaluating its style, telling you who it reminds them of. By engaging with you as that thing, they make you see yourself through that lens, the one that you initially told them you were, with more than a little hesitancy in your voice. For the past decade, even as I told people I was a filmmaker and later a writer, I was still desperate to have that title formally attached to my name. I needed a job description, an IMDb credit, a spot at Sundance. Slowly, being a filmmaker became less of an activity and more of an identity. I left my friends and family behind to go to a career-oriented university where I was promised the label of director. Then, after a year in the film and TV major confirmed my fear that the title director was either reserved for 60-year-old men or starving indie filmmakers, I switched into the dramatic writing major, thinking the label showrunner would be more attainable. It seemed to have a definite track attached to it. In fact, it came with a whole legitimate hierarchy of roles, with positions including production assistant, and writer's assistant, and staff writer. Like everything in this industry, however, each of these titles came with a nebulous cloud of uncertainty and a series of unknown steps from one position to the next. To alleviate this fear, I threw everything I had at my career search. I took up 2 internships reading feature film scripts and reviewing shorts. I went to dozens of networking events and panels and conferences. I applied to contest after contest. I even reached out for informal interviews with all kinds of people with catchy titles of their own on LinkedIn. The informational interviews, however, proved to be the most revealing, but for all the wrong reasons. Again and again, I would hear the same story. The person who I was now begging for a slice of time for was once a lowly student like myself. Then they moved out to LA, something that was already difficult for me to do as an international student, made loads of friends, which I didn't have, and got jobs which I would never get on my student visa. The common element in all these stories, however, a hefty helping of luck. For each of these people, a job seemed to have fallen out of the sky. Some person they used to work under 20 years ago just happened to have a career lying around. Or perhaps their current boss had seen them deliver coffee and write notes to the point that they were now qualified to write a script. What worried me wasn't the work. I always knew I would have to take on a lot of arduous jobs before I got the nice title. It was the utter disconnect between the path and the goal. I didn't want to spend the next decade cultivating a career based around delivering coffee, writing memos, and schmoozing with people. I wanted to write. Confusingly, as this career path became synonymous in my head with being a writer, I wasn't sure that was what I wanted anymore. But I had already spent the past decade banking on it. I had handed out the cards that said Ben Elhav Writer on them. I had painstakingly built a website, a portfolio, a presence, a platform. If everyone already saw me that way, was it too late then to say I was something else? Over the winter, I made the decision that I'll be going to law school. I'm building on a part of me that has always existed, a part that's interested in policy and persuasive argument that has been there for as long as I remember. I know it's the right decision, but it's still hard. A part of me still feels like I'm giving up on my past self or squandering some future potential. It's even harder to tell everyone around me who built me up that even as I'm making a change, doing something new, I'm still more or less the same person. I still love writing. I still love the way the words are a message machine, the way it lets me explore ideas and questions I'd never be able to engage with in my own head. I want to keep journaling and writing bad scripts and poetry and making movies with my friends. I'm still an artist, and it's difficult to accept that I won't always be seen that way. But I need to accept my own sight and start understanding myself by my own actions. I'm writing screenplays and I'm writing the LSAT. What does that make me? Only I can say.